The ultrasound wand pressed cold against my abdomen. Dr. Martinez's face told me everything before her mouth opened. Emma, I'm sorry. The cancer is gone. Gone. 6 months of poison pumping through my veins. Hair falling out in the shower. Vomiting until my ribs ached. And now gone. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt the absence of James's hand in mine. The empty chair beside the examination table where my husband should have been sitting. That's wonderful news, I whispered. Dr. Martinez squeezed my shoulder. You fought hard. Now you get to live. But let me take you back. 3 months earlier. That's when my marriage died, even though my body refused to. 3 months earlier, the Tiffany box sat on our kitchen counter. 7:23 a.m. Tuesday morning. I'd been awake since 4, another side effect of the medication. Insomnia that left me hollow-eyed and trembling. James came downstairs in his charcoal Tom Ford suit. He didn't look at me. Hadn't looked at me properly since my diagnosis 6 weeks ago. What's this? I touched the blue box with one shaking finger. Open it. Inside, my wedding ring. The platinum band we'd chosen together 5 years ago at a small jeweler in Portland. I looked up. He was staring at his phone. James. I can't do this anymore, Emma. His voice was flat. Rehearsed. The cancer, the treatments, the hospitals. I'm 34 years old. I didn't sign up for this. The kitchen tilted. I gripped the counter. My bald head, covered by a silk scarf James's mother had given me, suddenly felt obscenely exposed. I'm getting better. Dr. Martinez said the tumors are shrinking. You're dying. He finally looked at me. His eyes were cold. You're dying, and I'm supposed to what? Watch. Hold your hand while you waste away. I'm not dying. The treatment is working. Amber doesn't think I should have to suffer through this. The name landed like a slap. Amber. His colleague at the architecture firm. 26. Perfect Instagram feed. Perfect everything. I couldn't say it. The word caught in my throat like glass. Moving in with her. Yes. He picked up his keys. My lawyer will send the papers. He'll keep the house. It's the least I can do. But Emma, I need you to understand. I have to save myself. He left. The door clicked shut with terrible finality. I stood in our kitchen, my kitchen now, wearing flannel pajamas that hung loose on my chemo-ravaged body. The Tiffany box sat open. My wedding ring gleamed against blue velvet, a tiny corpse in a tiny casket. My phone rang. James's brother, Michael. I let it go to voicemail. Michael had called 17 times in 3 days before I finally answered. Emma. Thank God. His voice cracked with relief. I've been trying to reach you. Mom told me about James. I'm flying in tonight. You don't need to. I'm already at the airport. Michael Chun. James had been adopted by the Chens at age 3, kept his original surname Martin, ran a private equity firm in New York. Forbes had profiled him last year. The quiet billionaire, they'd called him. While James designed luxury condos, Michael bought entire buildings. I'd met him twice. Once at our wedding, once at a stiff family Christmas. He'd been polite, distant, formal in expensive suits that whispered old money. Really? I'm fine. You're going through chemotherapy alone because my brother is a coward. His voice turned to steel. I'm not asking, Emma. I'll be there at 8. He arrived at 8:47 p.m., carrying Thai food from my favorite restaurant. How did he know? And a bag from Sephora. My assistant said these are good. He set out containers that smelled like lemongrass and basil. Headscarves. Silk. Supposed to be gentle on sensitive skin. I stared at him. He'd loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves. Without the armor of formal occasions, he looked different. Younger. His eyes, darker than James's, more serious, held something I hadn't seen in weeks. Compassion. Why are you here? Because you're family. Because James is an idiot. Because nobody should go through this alone. He opened a container of pad thai. And because I always thought he didn't deserve you. The words hung between us. You don't know me, I said quietly. I know you majored in art history, but work as a grants coordinator for the Children's Museum because you believe in accessible education. I know you spent your honeymoon volunteering at an orphanage in Guatemala. I know James complained you were too generous with money. He met my eyes. I know you're fighting cancer while your husband abandons you, and you still answered the phone worried about being a burden. My throat tightened. He told you about me? No. I paid attention. Michael pushed the food toward me. Eat. Dr. Martinez's office said you need to maintain your strength. You called my doctor? I called everyone. Your treatment team, your oncologist, your nutritionist. I have a list of questions about your care plan. He pulled out his phone, starting with, why aren't you in the trial at Sloan Kettering? Your markers qualify you. I burst into tears. Not delicate crying. Ugly, gut-wrenching sobs that shook my whole body. Michael moved around the table and held me while I fell apart, his hand steady on my back. I've got you, he said quietly. I've got you, and I'm not leaving. Michael kept his promise. For 3 months, he became my shadow. He moved into the Fairmont downtown, but appeared at my house every morning at 7. Made breakfast, perfectly soft scrambled eggs that didn't trigger my nausea. Drove me to treatments. Sat in the infusion room reading medical journals while poison dripped into my veins. You should be in New York, I told him during week 4. The 4-needle pulled at my skin. Running your empire. I have excellent people. They're thrilled I'm finally delegating. He looked up from a report. Besides, this is where I need to be. Why? The question had haunted me for weeks. Michael Chin didn't need to be here. Didn't know me anything. We were barely family, connected only by James's betrayal. Because someone should. He set down his papers. And because watching you fight this, your strength, your grace, it reminds me what actually matters. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. James wants to meet. Discuss the divorce settlement. My stomach clenched. When? Tomorrow. His lawyer's office. Michael's jaw tightened. I told him he could go to hell, but legally you need to respond. I'll go. Emma, I need to do this. The law offices of Patterson and Ross occupied 3 floors of the Columbia Tower. James waited in a conference room, Amber beside him. She wore Chanel. Engagement ring the size of a quail egg on her finger. They'd gotten engaged. While I was fighting for my life, they'd gotten engaged. Emma. James stood awkwardly. You look better. I'd worn my best wig, human hair, styled like my original cut. Michael had insisted on taking me shopping, bought me a dove gray Armani suit that fit my changing body perfectly. The treatment is working. I sat across from them. Michael sat beside me, silent and watchful. That's great. James's voice was hollow. Really great. Can we get to business? Amber leaned forward. James and I have dinner reservations. The lawyer, James's lawyer, a shark in a 3-piece suit, slid papers across the table. Mr. Martin is offering a clean split. The house, your car, and a settlement of $75,000. I looked at the number. James and I had built a life together. 5 years. Shared dreams. Joint accounts. $75,000. This is generous, the lawyer continued. Considering the medical debt you've accrued. What medical debt? Michael's voice cut like a blade. The lawyer blinked. Ms. Chin's cancer treatment. The costs not covered by insurance are being handled by a private fund. Emma owes nothing. I turned to Michael. He hadn't told me this. Hadn't mentioned the bills that had been terrorizing me in the night. We'll discuss it later. He looked at James's lawyer. This offer is insulting. Emma is entitled to half of all marital assets, including the portfolio appreciation during their marriage. James's face reddened. Now wait a minute. You abandoned your wife during cancer treatment to move in with your mistress. Do you really want this to go to court? Michael's smile was cold. I can afford better lawyers. Can you? Amber's hand tightened on James's arm. Baby, make him stop. Michael, come on. James's voice turned pleading. Be reasonable. Reasonable. Michael leaned back. Like you were reasonable when Emma was vomiting from chemotherapy? When she lost her hair? When she needed you most? I couldn't handle it. James slammed his hand on the table. I'm not strong like you. I'm not a saint who can just watch someone suffer. No. You're a coward who runs when things get hard. Michael's voice was quiet. Deadly. Sign the revised settlement. Fair division of assets. No medical debt for Emma, or I'll make your life very difficult. How? You going to buy the firm and fire me? James laughed bitterly. You don't even work in architecture. No, but I know everyone who does. Every developer in this city. Every investor. Every project you've ever pitched. Michael's smile didn't reach his eyes. One word from me, and you'll never work on a major building again. The room went silent. James's lawyer cleared his throat. Perhaps we should take a moment. No moment needed. I found my voice. It came out stronger than expected. I don't want your money, James. I don't want anything that reminds me I wasted 5 years on someone who didn't love me enough to stay. I stood. The room spun slightly, fatigued from this morning's treatment, but I steadied myself. Keep it all. The accounts, the investments, whatever you think you want. I looked at Amber. I hope you know what you're getting. A man who promises forever but means until it's inconvenient. Emma. James reached for me. I stepped back. Michael was there instantly, his hand on my elbow. Supporting me. Always supporting me. Don't. My voice didn't shake. Don't say my name. Don't call me. Don't pretend you care now. We left. Michael guided me to his car. A midnight blue Bentley that whispered wealth. That private fund, I said as he pulled into traffic. That was you. Yes. Michael. I couldn't let you drown in debt while fighting cancer. It was never a question, Emma. He glanced at me. Money means nothing if you can't use it to help people he paused. People who matter. Something in his voice made my breath catch. What were you going to say? Later, when you're stronger. He pulled up to my house. For now, rest. You have treatment again Thursday. But I caught his hand before he could pull away. His fingers were warm, steady, nothing like James's. Thank you, I whispered. For everything. He looked at our joined hands. When he met my eyes, something blazed there. Something that had been building for 3 months. Anything, he said. I'd do anything for you. Dr. Martinez's words echoed through the examination room. The cancer is gone. I sat in my car in the hospital parking garage for 20 minutes, phone in my hand. Michael was in Tokyo on business. Our first separation in 3 months. I called him anyway. 2 a.m. his time. He answered on the first ring. Emma? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I started laughing. Couldn't stop. Nothing's wrong. I'm cancer-free, Michael. It's gone. Silence. Then, say that again. I'm cancer-free. I heard movement. Rustling. His voice thick with emotion. I'm coming home. You have meetings. I'm coming home. I'll be there in 14 hours. He arrived in 13, still wearing his Tokyo suit, hair disheveled from the flight. I opened my door and he swept me into his arms, lifting me off my feet. You're okay. He breathed into my hair, growing back now, soft as down. You're okay. I'm okay. He pulled back, hands framing my face. His eyes were red-rimmed. I was terrified. Every day, every treatment. Terrified I'd lose you before I could. Before you could what? This. He kissed me. Soft at first. Tentative. Then deeper when I responded, my hands fisting in his shirt. It tasted like hope and second chances and everything I'd thought I'd lost. When we broke apart, he was shaking. I'm sorry. That was... I shouldn't have. You just went through hell. You don't need me complicating. Michael. I kissed him again. Shut up. He laughed. Really laughed. The sound was beautiful. I've been falling for you since you cried over pad thai, he admitted. Maybe before. Maybe at your wedding when I watched you marry my brother and thought. He has no idea what he has. He touched my cheek. I wanted to tell you. But you were fighting cancer, going through a divorce. It felt wrong to add pressure. And now you're cancer-free. The divorce is final. And I'm standing here hoping you feel even a fraction of what I feel for you. I pulled him inside. I feel everything. I was just waiting to be whole enough to say it. 6 months later, I stood in a different examination room. Not for scans. Those came back clear every time now. This time, for happiness. Michael waited in the hallway while Dr. Martinez confirmed what the home test had shown. You're 12 weeks pregnant, she said, smiling. Healthy. Everything looks perfect. I thought cancer had stolen my chance at motherhood. The treatments, the stress, they should have made this impossible. But here it was. A miracle in ultrasound gray. Michael's face when I told him, I'll remember it forever. He cried, then laughed, then spun me in a circle in the hospital corridor while nurses smiled. We're having a baby, he kept saying. We're having a baby. The wedding was small. Michael's mother, who'd apologized for James 100 times, wept through the ceremony. My parents walked me down the aisle. I wore cream silk, a crown of flowers in my fully grown back hair, and I carried white roses. For new beginnings. James sent a card. No gift. Just a card that said congratulations. I didn't open it. Michael threw it away. We never spoke of it again. 2 years later, I watched Michael push our daughter on a swing set in our backyard. Elena was 18 months old, with his serious eyes and my stubborn chin. Higher, Daddy. Higher. He laughed, obliging, catching her each time, keeping her safe. My hand rested on my stomach. 3 months along with number 2. A boy this time. We'd name him after Michael's father. Mommy, Elena shrieked. Come play. I walked across the grass. Michael caught my hand, pulled me close. Elena giggled at our kiss. Happy, he murmured, deliriously. And I was. Not because of the house in the hills, or the security his wealth provided, or even because James had become irrelevant, a footnote in someone else's story. I was happy because I'd survived. Because the man who stayed through hell had turned out to be the love of my life. Because from the ashes of my old life, something beautiful had grown. Cancer tried to take everything. Instead, it burned away what was false and left only what was true. James thought he was saving himself by leaving. Really, he was freeing me to find someone who loved me at my worst and got to keep me at my best. My phone buzzed. A text from the museum. They wanted me to curate a new exhibit. I'd returned to work part-time, was thriving there. Michael read over my shoulder. You should do it. It's a lot of hours. We'll make it work. You're brilliant at this. He kissed my temple. Plus, I already arranged for extra help with Elena. I want you to have everything, Emma. Everything you dreamed of. Elena climbed into my lap, patting my stomach. Baby brother sleeping? Yes, sweetheart. Good. He needs rest. She kissed my belly. When he wakes up, I'll teach him to swing. Michael and I exchanged a look over her head. This life. This perfect, unexpected, hard-won life. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is really the best thing in disguise. James left me when I needed him most. But his leaving made room for Michael. For Elena. For this second chance at happiness I never saw coming. I look at my daughter, my husband, the child growing inside me, and I think, thank you, Cancer, for showing me who really loved me. Thank you, James, for walking away before I wasted more years. Thank you, Michael, for staying when staying was hard. The revenge wasn't in marrying the millionaire brother. It wasn't in the life I'd built or the happiness I found. It was simpler than that. I survived. I thrived. I loved and was loved in return. And James? He got exactly what he deserved. A life without me in it. That's all the revenge I ever needed.